Sunrisers Hyderabad needed a win today, and they won so emphatically that they've ended up at number 3 in the race for the playoffs. You're watching another episode of End of Days Play, and this is Uninvited Opinions. Before we take a look at the scorecards, I just wanted to highlight one point. When the toss happened and the teams were announced, Kolkata Knight Rider fans must have, had a bit of a sniffle because they realized that Mumbai had benched Trent Bolt and Jasprit Bumrah, their two key strike bowlers. And, so it was effectively a weekend Mumbai taking on Sunrisers Hyderabad and did that show in the game today. Mumbai Indians started decently, but never got the kind of batting tempo to get them to a great total. Karen Pollard made some useful contributions, as did Ishan Kishan and Quinton de Kock, but the Sunrisers bowlers were on song today. They kept taking wickets regularly. They pegged them back, and there was no sustained batting effort from Mumbai, and they managed to limp their way towards 149 for 8, thanks to some late order hitting from Karen Pollard. For the Sunrisers bowling, Sandeep Sharma was again in the wickets again, as was Shahbaz Nadeem and Jason Holder. And when it came to the Sunrisers batting effort, it just showed in what great batting form both Warner and Saha are in. And they were definitely helped by the absence of Trent Bolt and Jasprit Bumrah. So much so that both these batsmen scored fantastic half centuries and took Sunrisers home with a thumping 10-wicket win. Nax, your impressions on the game today?
Professional performance by Sunrisers. I don't know if Mumbai were really up for it, but regardless of that, Sunrisers never let them an opening at any stage in the game. Yes, it was a weekend bowling lineup for Mumbai Indians, but the batting was just as strong as a conventional lineup should look like. If anything, it was actually bolstered by the return of their regular captain, Rohit Sharma. So you still had to restrict them to a gettability target, and that's what Sunrisers did expertly, striking at regular intervals. They had gauged the wicket at Sharjah perfectly, their cutters, their slower balls. We saw in response, the Mumbai bowlers could not quite replicate the same technique. So even the most free-flowing stroke makers on the Mumbai side struggled for rhythm. There were a lot of dot balls. And although unusually Rashid Khan was slightly more expensive, they still could not manage a score that could challenge the Sunrisers batting.
Yeah, and I think Sunrisers were very, very canny with the use of the slower balls and the changes of pace. Sandeep Sharma got a couple of balls with slow wide Yorkers, which I think Quinton de Kock and Ishan Kishan both got out chasing wide slow balls. Jason Holder was very canny with bowling at the death, again varying his pace, using the Yorkers well. And Shahbaz Nadeem was, I think, the standout bowler in the middle overs. He really beautifully varied his pace. He was really canny with the way he sort of, used his bowling angles, not just at the crease, but also at the point of release of the delivery. Sometimes he was releasing right at the top. Sometimes he was going a little round arm. It was fantastic to watch. And that really, I think that phase of bowling, that really sucked the momentum out of the Mumbai batting innings. And, for a brief period, Surya Kumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan threatened to sort of build a useful partnership. But then once they fell, it was left to some late order hitting from Karen Pollard, who, surprisingly had a number of escapes thanks to DRS today. So that, again, was interesting to watch. And when it came to Sunrisers batting, it just showed how much, the absence of Trent Bolt and Jasprit Bumrah, how easy it makes it for the opposition teams to play Mumbai.
Absolutely. You basically are talking about taking away 43 wickets of the tournament, basically. Bumrah and Bolt together account for 43 wickets. And without them, it's essentially the second string bowling lineup of Mumbai Indians. And they are still big names, Pultanile and Pattinson. So it just goes to show for other opponents who are coming and facing Mumbai that if they are careful enough to preserve the wickets at the top and probably again at the depth, there are some runs to be had here. So it was beautifully negotiated. Sunrisers knew if they had to have a good chance, they had to go hard in the power play, and that's exactly what they did. They actually stuck to the template. Ridhiman Saha is just such an underrated cricketer. The stroke maker that he is, he's so easy on the eye, and the strokes are very effortless. And again today, it was him who actually started the hitting momentum and then it was taken over and carried forward by David Warner expertly. So never at any given stage did Sunrisers let the situation slip out of their hands. I always felt that they had a bright start. If they were to have a wicket at any stage, maybe that could give some kind of a boost to Mumbai, and they could just try and make a match out of it. And it could probably challenge the middle order. Who knows what could have happened? But that was never to be the case. Mumbai have actually got a 10 wickets win at Sharjah against CSK, and now they are at a receiving end of a 10 wicket defeat again at the same venue. That's how closely fought this tournament has been.
Absolutely, and I think Mumbai probably made a mistake in not utilizing Kyron Pollard to bowl, because I think he's someone who can bowl bowl those cutters, which would have been very useful on a pitch like this. So I think that was probably a trick that they missed. But I don't think they'd be too disheartened by today's loss. Yes, they would have liked to win, but they were without three key first team players in Trent Bolt, Jasprit Bumrah, and Hardik Pandya, who's been rested for the last couple of games. And they still finished top of the table. So I don't think it'll matter that much to them. But for Sunrisers, I think it is going to be a big confidence boost, because they've now won against the top three teams, and effectively three teams which have also qualified for the playoffs. So they've defeated the Delhi Capitals, Royal Challengers Bangalore, and the Mumbai Indians in successive games, and this must prove to be a big confidence boost for them.
Yes, can't agree more. And the fact is that among the three games, they have won two games chasing and one game setting the target. So they are actually comfortable regardless of which way the toss goes. So I believe they are completely up for it come the eliminator, and RCB better watch out.
Absolutely. Your pick for the player of the match?
I kind of disagreed with the panel's choice of Shahbaz Nadeem. Yes, he was instrumental in the middle overs, but I felt the most underrated player going around in the Indian batting circuit is Riddhiman Saha. He was expertly keeping wickets. One of the wickets Shahbaz Nadeem got was the stumping of Surya Kumar Yadav. It was a nothing delivery. It actually stayed low. It needed a wicket keeper to actually follow the bounce of the ball and flip the bails. It was essentially a wicket that should be ideally awarded to Saha. And his batting innings, that setting the tempo and carrying on with his captain David Warner, for me, his contribution somehow tends to get unnoticed. So for me, it was Riddhiman Saha.
Well, I do agree with a lot of the points that you make, but I always like it when bowlers get given the Player of the Match award. And today, especially, I think Shahbaz Nadeem was crucial in bringing Sunrisers back into play and setting back Mumbai's batting tempo. So, and he's a wonderful domestic performer. So I won't grudge him this Player of the Match award. Let's take a quick look at the table standing. So we've got Mumbai Indians and the Delhi Capitals at 1 and 2, and Sunrisers Hyderabad and the Royal Challengers Bangalore at 3 and 4. That means Hyderabad will play Bangalore in the eliminator, and Delhi will take on Mumbai in the first qualifier. So, Nax, let's talk about the qualifier one in today's episode. Mumbai versus Delhi. Who do you think will win it? Let's just remind you, this game is going to be played in Dubai.
Yes, the game is in Dubai, but it doesn't matter. In the league phase, Mumbai has actually beaten Delhi Capitals both at Abu Dhabi and in Dubai. But I think going into this game, Delhi is coming off a victory, and Mumbai is going after a thumping defeat. So confidence is a funny thing in this game. So you never know what could happen. The same playing 11 could appear a lot more daunting for Mumbai now. The Delhi Capitals playing 11. But I feel in terms of quality, Mumbai still is a better team. So I still back Mumbai.
Yeah, I agree. I think the scars they inflicted on the previous game against Delhi, where they restricted them to 110 something, I think that's going to be a hurdle too far to overcome for Delhi. So I'm still backing Mumbai. We're also going to take this opportunity to quickly remind our viewers that the Women's T20 Challenge begins tomorrow at Sharjah. So there are going to be 4 games played. There are 3 teams: the Trailblazers, the Supernovas, and Velocity. Each team plays the other ones, and then the top 2 will play each other in the final. So it's going to be a very short tournament, but we are glad that the BCCI was able to put together something and schedule this within the IPL window. So that's going to be pleasing to see. We'll be doing an episode at the end of the Women's T20 Challenge, bringing you our views on how the tournament went. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to keep more videos coming your way. And remember, we're not going to be back here tomorrow. We're only going to be back in a day's time. So until then, stay safe.